Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to my latest review. And now, after having previously looked at the Commodore Amiga and ZX Spectrum versions of Crossout, now I'm taking a look at the Amstrad CPC version. And already one thing that is a bit of a shame is that we've just got a blank screen that says welcome to Crossout, hit that button, so you don't even get the picture that's in the Spectrum version. So let's just hit that button. So here's our shop sequence, and the controls seem to be exactly the same as in the Spectrum version. And again, we've only got the three different types of the one set of different shots in this version, and it looks as if the same weapons that are missing in the Spectrum version from the Amiga version are also missing here. And again, no sound nor music in this bit. And again, I can't seem to jettison something once I've committed to buying it. I had exactly the same problem with the Spectrum version. As I was explaining that in the Amiga version, which is the first version I've played and which I reviewed back in November of 2020, if you decided to change your mind on a particular thing that you'd bought, you could actually pick it up and then drop it into this basically personified dustbin here. Unfortunately, once you've committed to buying something, you're stuck with it. I just cannot get that to function. See, we even can. Let's put that on there. Let's give ourselves an option. So it's not letting me put it there or there. Oh, I don't know whether it's not letting me put it in certain... Oh. So not quite the same freedoms as to place the options as in the Amiga version by the looks of things. I was starting to worry that it was going to tell me I couldn't afford it, but then it wouldn't have let me pick it up. But again, why is there no sound here? I mean, the problem is the lack of sound. You don't know whether you can't afford something so easily. It's not going to let me do anything because it won't let me delete. So let's just go straight to the game. Press fire. So you get a little bit of invulnerability as you start, hence the reason your craft was flashing. But again, as one complaint I had about the Spectrum version, which was the 128K version I reviewed, is the lack of AY music. The Amstrad CPC uses the same AY sound chip as the 128K Spectrum, so again, why is there no music? And at one point the Amstrad CPC actually had more memory than the Spectrum. It's such a shame because this clearly isn't a lazy specky port, but it's still no music. And I still say this runs a little bit too quickly. And some of the collision detection is a bit ropey as well. Admittedly, a lot of the time in my favour, but I mean, in some cases, maybe that's a good thing, given that it has another problem that I mentioned in the Spectrum version, is the restricted space. Oh, I'm in trouble. See, I'm sure that missile should have hit me. Yeah, you have to defeat that in order to be able to continue on your merry little way. Again, like in the Spectrum version, your ship doesn't even explode when it dies. Why not? Let's try giving ourselves a more than one life. As in Spectrum, this shop sequence is a bit laboured. Let's give ourselves a triple shot for this one. Oh, God. Why can't we have sound effects in this bit? So annoying. Let's see if I can put something else on this one. Put a homing missile on it. And then I'll probably have to do, because I can't afford any. I can't really afford anything else. I've only got 400 points left. Okay, so let's get on with it. So now I've got 2 lives because I bought 2 ships. Colours are nice. Oh, took a little bit of a knock there. The missiles are going in very odd. My homing missiles are going in very odd directions. Why is there no music? So, and again, because those missiles look identical to mine, it's very easy to forget which missile is actually the one I've just fired and which one's the ones they've fired. So you're sort of panicking if you see a missile and thinking, is that one they fired or me? I mean, if you didn't buy a missile, it's not a problem, because obviously all missiles will then be the enemies. But if you've bought a missile and it looks exactly like theirs, then there's a bit of a problem, because you can't necessarily tell which missiles were fired from the enemies in the heat of everything, and which ones were fired by you. Especially when the missiles that you fire seem to go in odd directions. Speaking of which, why aren't? Oh, I must have. Oh, I must have. See, I got so confused because your ships don't explode in this. I just this moment noticed that I'm using my second ship, which is why I'm not firing missiles anymore. Why can't your ship explode? Oh no. Oh, maybe I wasn't. So why was I suddenly not firing missiles anymore? What's that all about? Suddenly I wasn't firing missiles anymore. Now, this ship, I can understand me not firing missiles. I never bought any for it because I couldn't afford it. I only put missiles on one of the ships. See, the other ships explodes. So, well, I know that missile's mine, not mine, because as I said, I didn't actually buy any missiles this time. Oh, for God's sake, I couldn't get around that. I mean, I wouldn't have minded the lack of different versions of the single, double, and triple shots in this version, the Spectrum version. I wouldn't mind those so much, but they're mentioned in the manual, even though there aren't the different kinds that there are in the 16-bit versions. I mean, I don't know whether the Commodore 64 version lacks the 3 different types of single, double, and triple shots the way this version, the Spectrum version, do, because I haven't played that version, at least not yet. Oh. Scrolling is quite nice, especially considering the Amstrad CPC does struggle with scrolling at the best of times, so it's nice to see that it's not Oh, that behaves a bit differently to how it does in the Amiga version I'm used to. One more go. What's odd is that this ship's actually the most expensive ship in the Amiga version, yet in this version, Spectrum version, they've switched the order about a bit. So if you're used to the Amiga version and suddenly come to this, you might be a bit shocked. Oh yeah, I can't. I need to switch to the other ship, don't I? See if I can put something on this. Probably not, because I'm running low on money. No. Can't have any of those. Can't afford them. Oh, I can afford that. I can, only 500 now, so I'll use this ship first. You actually manually select whichever ship is highlighted here, and or in the middle is the one you end up starting with. So let's just continue. Press fire. How do I use the additional weapons like the flame thing I bought? Because in the two versions I use normally, you just hold down fire for a bit. How do I use? You hold down fire and then release, and then it fires the that flame weapon that I picked up. How do you fire it in this? You can see it clearly the undersides of the ship in this version, not like in the Spectrum version where the water at the top was a bit too detailed, so the bottoms of the boats blended in a bit too well with the water graphics. Is that boss again? And I still don't know how to use that flame weapon. Oh, now I've just not blown up, and now I've switched to the other ship. Oh God! How do I use the weapons that are normally charged in the other versions? Why did they have to change that? And why doesn't it mention it in the manual? Well, I had a look at the manual. I don't remember it mentioning it anyway. Oh God! At least you can shoot their laser beams. Oh my word. Come on. This is a lot harder without the multiple shot that I had before. See, I can't get to them. Oh, this is taking forever. I can't hit the blessed. Let's try a different approach. God, even that didn't work. I'm just trying to... At last! God, I thought that was never going to explode. Oh! Ugh. Great. Not much energy left now. Get back up here. Oh, God. Well, that would do me. So that's the Amstrad CPC version of Crossout. And again, it's a bit disappointing, just like I said about the Spectrum version. Graphics are nice and colourful. At least it's not as a lazy specky port. Everything's nicely coloured. Clearly, you can see what's going on. Everything generally looks nice. Nothing's too in your face, and in terms of harsh colours like you can sometimes get. So I can't really complain about the visuals. Sound, well, sound effects okay, but again, the lack of AY music is really disappointing, especially as I said earlier. There was once a time when the CPC had more memory than the ZX Spectrum, so it's even more glaring when there's no music. Because it does make it does impact on the overall atmosphere. Again, as I said in the Spectrum version, with the 48K Spectrum, I can understand the reduced memory and the fact that the sound capabilities of that machine are very limited. But when you got an Amstrad CPC, which to my best of my knowledge has always had the AY sound chip in it, it just seems like a missed opportunity. Gameplay. Well, it's not quite as bad in terms of speed as the Spectrum version in being too fast. It could still have done with being just a teensy bit slower, especially as, like the Spectrum version, there's the reduced reduced screen resolution in comparison to the 16-bit versions means that you can't see as much of the screen as you could on that version. And it didn't seem like you could just hold down fire and release to fire certain weapons. I just couldn't get that to work at all. I tried enter, I tried shift, I tried quite a few things. I just couldn't get it to work. And that left me quite vulnerable. I mean, even in the Amiga version, you just hold down fire and then release to fire such weapons, and that was also the way you did it in the Spectrum version, but that didn't work at all in this. And the shop sequence was still a bit laggy, and the lack of sounds in that also, and the same reduced weapons issue that I noticed in Spectrum versions permeated into this version as well. And the lack of lack of sounds in that also means that it's the shop system isn't as user friendly as it could have been. Especially as you had the same problem of not being able to seemingly remove something from your ship and put it in the personalised dustbin in the bottom right corner the way you can in the 16-bit versions. So what's the point in having that if it doesn't work? I just couldn't remove something and ditch it at all. And if you can't do that in this version, then it would be really nice if you could actually see how much something's cost before you actually committed to buying it. But the game being a bit too fast and the comparatively reduced playing area compared to the 16-bit version also means that the game isn't quite as playable as it could have been. So its bonuses over the Spectrum version, because at least it makes some use of the Amstrad's graphical capabilities, are somewhat negated by the things that could have happened and probably should have happened and didn't. And that could have actually put it above. So I'm going to give this Amstrad CPC version the same scores I gave the Spectrum version, 6 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed that review. Hope to catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.